The opening scene begins with a couple, Truman and Patricia, who are sleeping peacefully until they hear an unfamiliar sound. Suspecting that it is an intruder, they cautiously head downstairs, only to find a girl asleep on the couch under the influence of narcotics. Truman recognizes her as one of his clients, who had stayed over after a party the previous night. He wakes the girl up and asks her to leave. Here, we learn that Truman is a struggling businessman who keeps on hosting small parties at his place in the hopes of landing deals with his clients. Later on, Truman, as usual, tells his wife to get the dinner ready because he is going to invite a big client. Patricia seems to be upset by his daily useless parties, but this time Truman believes that they will be able to pay off all of their debts and mortgages if he is able to make this deal. In addition, Truman appears to have impulsively bought an expensive car solely to impress the client. Seeing this, Patricia becomes angry, pointing out that they already have enough debt to pay. She even wishes to work in some part-time jobs, but Truman does not want her to work. In the next scene, we are introduced to an affluent businessman named Alex Weston, his wife Marina, their son Robbie, and their houseworker Belle. Alex and Marina are so busy with their work that they are unable to allocate time for any household work, not even for their son. One day, Belle reminds them about their son's birthday, but the busy couple simply asks her to wish him a happy birthday on their behalf. Robbie, who overhears their conversation, is clearly disheartened. Fortunately, Belle cheers him up by surprising him with a cake, along with a birthday gift. Next, Robbie heads for school and waits for the arrival of his crush, Cheryl. He approaches her and asks her out for a date. Sadly, Cheryl politely declines his offer, saying that she is already seeing someone. This rejection saddens Robbie, so he decides to skip classes and drives away. Later, Alex becomes aware of this and confronts Robbie at home. He mentions that he wants to enroll Robbie in the best university, and for this, he must secure good marks in school. Moreover, Alex seizes the car keys as a punishment for his previous act. The same evening, Truman invites his wealthy client Manson over for dinner at his place. He wants to seal the deal as soon as possible, but Manson doesn't even pay attention to his words. This is because he is captivated by Patricia's beauty, and he begins flirting with her relentlessly. He even tries to touch her under her clothes, causing her to leave in anger. After a while, she confides in her husband about the incident, hoping for his support. However, Truman simply tells her to comply because the deal is very important for them. This leaves Patricia with no option but to give herself in. As a result, Truman lets Manson get intimate with his wife, just for the sake of the deal. The following morning, Truman arrives at the office where his assistant informs him that the bosses have been in a meeting with a man called Alex. A short while later, he learns that the deal, which he had been working tirelessly to secure, has been handed over to Alex. Truman tries to persuade his boss Mike, but the latter claims that Alex is renowned in this industry and is a better addition to the company. Devastated, Truman returns home and shares the news with Patricia, who is equally affected by the turn of events. The next day, Truman prepares to go to the office, which surprises Patricia, as he typically does not work on Sundays. Upon arriving, he walks into his cabin and commits the unthinkable out of depression. The cleaning lady hears the gunshot and rushes to check the source, only to be freaked out by the grim sight of Truman's death. The news is soon relayed to Patricia, which leaves her devastated. A few days later, Patricia visits her husband's office and meets with his boss, Mike. She inquires about the insurance policy in Truman's name, but Mike coldly replies that the insurance is invalid, as Truman had committed the unthinkable. After a brief conversation, Patricia goes to her husband's cabin to collect his belongings. During this, she steals all the crucial information from the computer, with a determined intention to exact vengeance for her husband's death. First of all, Patricia drives to Mason's residence and doesn't hesitate to shoot him in broad daylight. She then starts to stalk Alex's activities and soon learns about his son Robbie. After this, Patricia follows Robbie to his school, where she poses as a concerned parent and obtains a school letterhead. Later that night, she uses the letterhead to compose a letter to Robbie's parents, emphasizing the need for a tutor in order to ensure Robbie's academic success. The next day, Patricia retrieves a phone call from Marina, who extends an invitation for a discussion at their home. Patricia disguises herself as Amanda and visits Robbie's residence. Upon her arrival, the teen is immediately struck by her beauty and wants her as his tutor. Marina inquires about the potential start date for tutoring, to which she replies that she will need some days because her house is currently undergoing renovations, and that she has to find a temporary home. Hearing this, Robbie mentions their guest house as a place for her to stay. Alex and Marina agree with their son and offer Patricia the guest home, an offer she accepts. Starting from the following day, Patricia goes to pick up Robbie from school while wearing an alluring outfit. As they return to the guest house, she begins her tutoring sessions, but Robbie is infatuated by her all this time. As days pass by, Patricia forms a friendship with Marina in order to gather more information about the family. To gain her trust, she lends Marina a helping hand with various tasks. Eventually, Patricia discovers that Marina has been consuming pills to manage her anxiety. Armed with this knowledge, she begins adding narcotics to Marina's coffee and wine, gradually deteriorating her health. One night, Robbie is playing basketball in the backyard when he notices Patricia changing her clothes in the guest house. Intrigued, he begins to spy on her through the window. Patricia spots his actions but pretends to be unaware. She then starts touching herself with the intention of arousing him. Just then, Belle catches Robbie in the act and scolds him before taking him away. The following day, Belle takes a day off from work and goes for her personal errands. Alex and Marina are busy at their work, which leaves Robbie alone in the house. Patricia seizes this opportunity to visit Robbie's room and warn him against spying on her. Furthermore, she tells him that if he wants to look at something, he just needs to knock on her door and ask for it. Acting upon this suggestion, Robbie excitedly follows her to her room. There, Patricia tells him that she will teach him everything she knows. She then encourages him to undress himself, kisses him, and the two end up getting into an intimate act. The next morning, Patricia approaches Alex and engages in a friendly conversation with him. After their brief exchange, she returns to her room, only to discover Belle installing blinds on her window. Sensing that Belle might interfere with her revenge plan, Patricia decides to get rid of the older woman. One day, when Belle is alone at home attending to the laundry, Patricia discreetly enters the house and makes her way to the basement. In this hidden space, she crafts a trap using a thin wire and removes the light bulb. Sometime later, Belle descends the darkened staircase, where she unfortunately trips over the wire and passes away. In the evening, Robbie returns home from school and immediately seeks Patricia to show his grades, which have surprisingly improved. Encouraged by this positive news, they share another intimate moment. Not long after, Marina arrives home from work and calls out for Belle. When she doesn't receive any answer, she goes to check on her in the basement, and to her horror, she finds Belle's lifeless body there. In the aftermath of this tragic discovery, authorities handle Belle's remains, while Marina struggles to come to terms with the loss. That night, Patricia approaches Alex, who is engaged in a game of snooker. Seeing him upset due to the recent events, she walks closer to him and attempts to seduce him, assuring to help him relax. She then bends by the pool table, making Alex take her from behind. Okay. This entire affair is spotted by Robbie through the window, so Patricia acts as if Alex is forcing him to do so. The next day, she volunteers to stay in Marina's care since Belle is no more. Following her pattern, Patricia drugs Marina's coffee before serving it to her. She also contacts the pharmacy, assuming Marina's identity, and requests for more pills. All of this contributes to Marina's declining health due to pills. Afterwards, Patricia visits Robbie's room and apologizes for what he had to witness earlier in the pool room. She deceitfully asserts that Alex compelled her to do so, fueling Robbie's hatred towards his father even further. One day, Patricia goes to Marina with another coffee, mixing the drugged contents in it. During their brief conversation, she mentions that her house will be ready in a matter of days, indicating that she will leave. In response, Marina thanks her for being such a good friend and helping her this entire time. She then tries to get up from her seat, but suddenly experiences dizziness. At this moment, Marina finally notices something amiss with her coffee and suspects Patricia's involvement. That night, Robbie visits Patricia's room to bid goodbye to her because he will be leaving for his new out-of-state university and will be staying in the hostel. As a result of this, the two engage in a passionate love-making act for one last time. The following afternoon, Robbie departs for the airport with one of his friends, and Patricia also leaves in her car. As the evening dawns, a heavy rainstorm sets in, and Marina, who is all alone in her house, feels scared. In order to intensify her fear, she receives unsettling phone calls and also experiences power cuts. Amidst all this, she hears a noise coming from the basement. Equipping herself with a knife, she ventures downstairs to investigate. At the same time, Alex returns home from work, startling Marina and nearly causing her to mistakenly stab him. Following this, she tries to make Alex understand that Patricia is evil, but he brushes off her claims and walks away. In the morning, before heading to the office, Alex notices Patricia's car number and recalls having seen a similar car driven by Truman. Upon reaching the office, he delves into Truman's remaining belongings and discovers a photograph featuring Truman and Patricia. Fueled by by concern, he goes to his boss Mike, and the latter reveals that Patricia is indeed Truman's wife. This sends Alex into a state of panic, and he desperately tries to contact Marina. When he fails to connect with her, he contacts the police and then rushes to his wife's aid. Meanwhile, at home, Patricia shows up in Marina's room with a sinister purpose of ending her life. She restrains Marina, secures her to the bed, and forces her to ingest a pill. Patricia wants to kill her in such a way that it will appear like a self-kill. But just as she is about to finish off the poor woman, Alex arrives in the nick of time to intervene. With her identity now exposed, Patricia boldly admits to all of her actions thus far, including her physical relationship with their son. This angers Alex, who then slaps her and pushes her through the window. After a while, the police arrive at the scene, but by this time, Patricia appears to have fled. The police help the couple to calm down, ensuring their safety. Later that night, the couple receives a reassuring call from their son, who shares that he is adjusting well to his new environment. After hanging up the phone, Robbie retreats to his bed, where Patricia is already waiting for him. They turn off the lights before sleeping together. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.